Hi, it's Derrick Sweet from Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, and thank you so much for your interest in the How to Sell Like a Superhero program. Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise isn't a sales training company. We are in the business of human development. We are a training and development company. We have lots of courses. We have courses on public speaking. We've certified over 10,000 people to become life coaches, and we have a sales course. But our approach in teaching people how to sell is to have a conversation as opposed to closing a deal. And that's a difference between Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise and so many of the other sales training programs out there. They're more confrontational than conversational. And our approach is really out of respect for the prospect, the potential client. And that includes them saying no to you. Just imagine if there was that possibility in having a conversation with a sales professional that in such a way that the prospect felt like there's no pressure here. This person truly has my best interest in mind. Now you may be thinking right now, well, that's just common sense. Of course it's common sense, but is it commonly practiced when prospects and sales professionals meet head to head? Well, no, it's more like a sporting event. So here's what happens in the How to Sell Like a Superhero program. It's a 3-hour live program, and it begins with the first module, Module 1, which is how to think like a superhero. And we talk about how our habitual thought patterns can create these beliefs and expectations that can cause us to feel anxiety and stress and worry, even fear when we're having conversations with potential clients. Not to mention prospecting. And we'll have a whole new relationship with prospecting in that whole act after they complete our course, after your team completes our course. So we talk about the neurotransmitter relationship to certain thoughts and thought patterns, and the relationship neurotransmitters have to beliefs and expectations. Number one is clarity. Now clarity is simple. Anyone can do this one. Most people do get this one right. This is knowing where you want to go in all the key areas of your life, your family, your finances, your career, and all the areas that are important to you. But we don't, and when we have clarity, then we start to set our goals and write plans. But you can't set goals and write plans unless you do one more thing first. And that's Charles talked about, that's to identify your values. What's important to me? Everyone should do this. What are my top 10 values? You write down your 10 values, and then you prioritize them. What's top 3, what's top 4, what's the bottom 3, boom. That's going to help you determine what your goals and plans are. It all starts with your values. Okay? And then, think about it. When we have clarity, we know what our values are, and we write goals, and we create plans that complement our values. What happens is, by default, we have created purpose. What? Superheroes make up words. You're learning a new word today. Yeah, I learned a new word. What did you do today? I learned a new word. Purpose. That's right. Purpose. I bet you've never heard that before. That's right. That's right. That's what superheroism is all about. It's about breaking the molds of perspective and just creating new words. Purpose is multiple purposes. You have a purpose for every role you have. You have a role as a parent, like that. A parent, grandmother, a neighbor, a friend, a fitness buddy. God, it just never ends. So you have multi-purpose. We all know people with a vision who have purpose. And we all know people who don't. And they're usually at that red light with that phone. Conviction. This is how we start to get those superhero juices flowing. Conviction. Conviction is very simple. What's conviction? We get that genie. We get the good genie out here. And we start to use our mind the right way. We start to hold those thoughts with emotion, with vision, with repetition. Then what happens is we have a belief system. And the more we repeat this process, the more we repeat these beliefs, we have expectations that are consistent with this process. Okay. When we have beliefs and expectations that are consistent, we have conviction. We've been there before. We've been there before. And then all of a sudden, we notice that we, in fact, do have faith in ourselves. In all the things that we want to accomplish, we have faith in. And then when things don't go our way, that's okay. We have patience. And that's, boy, oh boy, talk about a killer of dreams, impatience. So when we take action, it's not because fear is missing. It's because it is there. That's why you have courage. But here's the thing, the more action steps we take, the smaller fear gets. And one day we wake up and realize, yeah, I feel a little bit anxious about doing this new endeavor, but I've been there before. I have so much momentum. And what I really notice is all the courage that's been created by taking action because of my conviction, because of my genie, because of my awareness in this moment, and canceling out anything that's not good, not consistent with my intention. This is what freedom is. This is what not being interrupted is. It's by going back to simply by being aware of your thoughts. It's that simple. We can feel like superheroes. We can live like superheroes. It doesn't mean that you're not going to feel anxious from time to time. But the more action steps you take, the smaller that anxiety is. And here's the thing about it. That anxiety starts to be like an old friend because it's no longer that big monster it used to be. It's this little puppy. So Module 1, How to Think Like a Superhero, is covered before we get into the Sales Mastery course, which is covered in Module 2, which is typically after a break, when we talk about how to sell like a superhero. Now, when we talk about how to sell like a superhero, we're basically introducing the 4 steps to the Sales Mastery course. The 4 steps include rapport, the discovery, where you're finding out information, relevant information from your prospect. Step number 3, which is the solution. And step number 4, which is the close. Now the good news is we will teach your sales professionals how to have a conversation where they're identifying what the prospect's criteria to make a purchase is, but most sales courses will do that. We'll teach your sales professionals to go beneath the criteria and find out the meaning of the criteria, find out the values of the criteria. You're speaking in such a way that says to your potential client that you've been listening. Not only that, but you're presenting your product or service in such a way that fits what the prospect is looking for. This course has been called one of the greatest sales training courses in the world, and we're thrilled with that. But, you know, I think the reason why people call this the greatest sales course in the world isn't because of what it has, but is probably more because of what it doesn't have. It doesn't have fear or anxiety or a win-lose kind of conversation, which unfortunately is too common in the sales process. The reason why people love this course so much and sales go up because of this course is because there's a place in the dialogue, in the sales conversation, for respect of another human being, and value for that human being just for being there. And I know this may sound oversimplified, but when you approach your business with so much respect for someone who walks through those doors into your office, that is felt at a heart level. And people are much more likely to do business with people they trust, and people who, if aren't friends already, certainly could become friends. And why shouldn't the sales process be like that? Why does it have to have anxiety and stress and fear in it? And unfortunately it does for too many people. If you talk to, I dare say, if you talk to 20 sales professionals, how do you like prospecting? I dare say 20 of them out of 20 will say they hate it. They hate it because when most people think of the sales process, they can't help but think of a win-lose scenario. No more, not in How to Sell Like a Superhero. We realized that, you know, there was one thing that was missing, and that was the human psyche as it relates to fear and anxiety and stress and doubt and all the negatives that come from the unconscious expectations that with our course becomes conscious. And when you become conscious of all the beliefs and expectations that you hadn't been aware of, that have either prevented the prospect from buying or prevented you from fully engaging in a conversation with a potential client in such a way that they actually enjoy the conversation, as opposed to feeling the stress of the pitch, people will stick around. People want relationships today. They don't want to be sold to. And at the bare bones At the very least, sales professionals who go through this training now approach all conversations as relationships, as people who could be in their life for a very long time. And I think that's a good way to approach any business, whether you're in sales or not. So at this point, though, if you've liked what you've heard, if you're interested in talking to us about how we could help your organization have a better sales process, please give us a call and let's talk about if this is a fit for you. Call us at 866-455-2155. And thank you so much for watching.